on top. I'm fucking in Antarctica at the top of like an ice shelf, and there's like a polar bear lying next to me in the sun.
In Antarctica? A polar bear?
Yeah, that's what they found, right? Some shit like that.
No!
Yeah, bro.
No.
How would you know? You ever seen a polar bear?
I'm looking at one.
I wish I was up, you know.
Alright, let's get on to this. Welcome to Quantumplations. I'm somebody, I'm joined by nobody. Say hi, nobody. And this is
This is a series that we've dubbed to talk about things and meanings of things and different kinds of metaphors that could apply to different kinds of pathways and lessons in life that could maybe help anyone, or no one, or someone.
it's fun to just shoot the shit and not get onto what we're supposed to. So we'll probably end up doing heaps of that. But we probably should get onto what we're supposed to.
Oh yeah.
Just gotta get my notes in order. So...
Oh wait, how about... Sorry. One interjection, one more.
Yeah.
We'll call you the point of reference.
And what are you?
I don't know.
The point of abstraction.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad reference.
It's not a reference.
It's in reference to me, which is in relation to anything I want it to.
Okay, then everything I say is a reference to something.
Yeah.
If I'm using a noun.
Yeah. It's in reference to emotion, which is relevant to your mind and your throat and vibrations and frequency. I'll fucking know.
Alright, catch these frequencies.
Okay, I'll try.
Alright. I'm obviously inept. I know that's maybe hard for some of you to hear. But that's me. That's my YouTube channel. It's been tough making all these albums for the last 3.5 years, maybe 4 years, but it's been not worth it at all, as I've only got 12 subscribers.
And I'm one of them. And I'm none of them at the same time.
And my mum is also one of them. So this is my petty attempt to etch my name in the history books by having a famous podcast with this
No one.
bearded rambler who
I speak in tongues.
Anyway, so this is the first album I ever made. That's what this episode's about, Derivative. And it's terrible. It's fucking horrible. Mick, tell us about how horrible it is.
Look, Ablaze wasn't that bad, alright. I recommend giving that a look.
That's an odd choice, actually. I wouldn't have chosen that one.
Was it Ablaze or the one after that? I can't even remember now. That's how shit it is.
Yeah. That makes sense. They all do sort of sound the same. There's a running theme throughout it.
I'd say there's more like running themes throughout albums that depicts emotions and like an overall kind of abstract build that Leonard's tried to build into song for anyone who actually cares about listening.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the whole goal of art. To express what's going on in your head. And maybe get some sort of image like that going on in somebody else's head.
See, Leonard's head is mostly static, but there's a clear image underneath that, and if you have someone who understands static, you can just like build the rest of the image if you really want to. But I have more fun rambling about dumb shit.
What did you actually think of this album, Mick? Tell me your thoughts.
So far, it feels like you're,
Oh, maybe we should listen to each one by one, and then...
have a talk about it.
Yeah, okay. Alright. You said you had an idea for how you wanted to start.
Alright, so I'm actually going to start in a minute, alright? So...
Yeah, take your time.
Nothing and something just figured out time travel.
Yes, we've traveled to a time where we actually want to start this podcast for once.
Forwards.
So let's jump head first straight into it. We should talk about Leviathan, the first song on the album.
Oh yeah, scroll up.
Yes. I'll scroll up to where you had your notes. And you talk about the impression that it gave you, and then I'll read the lyrics and talk about how I wrote the song.
I guess what I felt when I started listening to this album is I feel like standing on, I guess, some kind of platform that's actually a cliff or a rock or a boulder, and it's right by the sea. The sea's raging, going crazy, and there's a big old blue, white, grey kind of a serpent thing, and it's quite clearly ancient and scarred, and it's coming up out of the water, and it's trying to talk, and its lips are moving, and it's just coming out like.
Yeah, that sounds almost exactly like the song.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Alright, I'll pull up the lyrics.
And yet, in the head, when you actually sit there and listen to it, it makes all the sense, and everything, you can understand it, like it's just inside you, like everything's reverberating, I guess. This is like one thought that everything is nothing and nothing is everything and nothing makes sense and nothing should make sense, and it means relative existence for anything to actually be.
Damn. Yeah, well, it only goes for a minute and it holds all that, huh?
Yeah, well, they say a picture holds 1,000 stories, but
Did they say that?
I don't know.
A picture holds 1,000 stories?
Some shit like that. The same kind of image I'm building. Yeah. Now, why not is it not all could be from a sound as well?
Yeah, well, that's sort of the goal of Inept. It's to portray the things that are going on in my mind and sort of the ambiance that's created there, and turn it into sound. And that's why you can't hear the lyrics at all. Also because I made this when I was like 16 and I was really insecure about my voice.
Now, when he says you can't hear the lyrics, you can hear the lyrics, but you can't hear what the words mean. And this is why you can pull the meaning from anything, because it's the way that it actually hits you and the way it moves you and the way that it makes you think is very abstract.
Yeah, it's sort of like listening to a song in another language.
That's exactly how I would describe it, actually.
Yeah. So the lyrics for this one, all the lyrics on this album I wrote in year 12 when I was really struggling with anger issues about having to finish school. And so I'll read you the lyrics as the poetry that I first envisioned.
May I interject?
Yeah.
So, when you tell me that, what I hear from you is, see, I feel like art gathers up in me as like an emotion, and when it's ready to pop, it just goes.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in a way, enough emotion of any given subject could derive anything. And what I think the emotion that from that to drive, I don't know, the first song of this first album is frustration.
Yeah.
And when I was listening to it and talking about the when I was thinking about the Leviathan, rather, I should say, is it felt like there was some kind of frustration, like it couldn't really say what it was trying to say, like it was there just being looked at like it was some kind of spectacle, and yet all it wanted was to be understood.
Yeah, well, the lyrics definitely reflect that. I'll read you. Okay, so. Have you ever seen a festered wound? For I have a wild one over me. Solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Bandaged over, 1,000,000 times over. Hard like some ancient shard of pottery in my skin, and closed over greenly like the roof of a thatch hut within. Stinking of maggots and dead men resurrected, reeking of women half devoured and ejected. Pulsating eerily below the surface like the panthalastic tide. It demands to be unhidden, but it demands to hide. So, the wound that I'm talking about
Is actually me.
No, you wish you were that important to me.
Oh, Leonard, you have no idea.
The wound that I'm talking about in this song is some perceived slight at the edges of my memory. Like, something at the beginning of my memories as a person did something to me, and ever since then I've felt this rage that has manifested itself in a superiority complex where I have to prove that I'm better than everyone else. and I can't do anything that anyone tells me to do. So that's why it's sort of a festered wound. It's some attack that's been made against me that I've grown into how I view everything. And where I say solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, that's actually a quote from a book called Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. And he's speaking about, when he says those words, he's speaking about life before civilization.
I love this topic. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I'm talking about the way my brain worked before I became a civilized human being.
May
I? Yeah. You can interject whenever you want.
No. I'm saying may I to add a thing for the listeners. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now, what Len is describing is how I try to view myself and everything else around me as a whole, and this is why my thoughts come from a very abstract, what I'd call, realm. Where, like, if you could imagine, like, a headache in like, say, when, in, like, the caveman times, I'm sure everyone's heard about how, when anyone had a headache, they would bust their head open with this rock. Now, I'm not saying go and bust your head open with a rock because that'll let the spirits out, but what I'm saying is maybe there's an interconnectedness between absolutely everything you experience, and maybe that kind of interpretation of any given thing isn't that far off the ball to begin with.
So you're saying the spirits are both physically in the caveman's head and spiritually in the caveman's mind?
And everyone else's. Sort of like deleted, well, not even deleted, just dusty memory in a computer you haven't opened up for a while.
Yeah,
Like, it's been there forever, and you open your phone, it's like, holy shit, what's this? I have these images from the dawn of nothing?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had a few acid trips that have felt like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, bandaged over 1,000,000 times over. That line is like, I've like held this within me and treated it like it doesn't exist.
If I think that's the thing, then I think that may have been your construct of what you thought was yourself.
Yeah, well, I say over 3 times in those 3 lines.
Yeah, the repetition is you building a process of thought, which is, in a sense, you and what you were.
Yeah, the reason I say over is because I'm trying to explain that it not only is it over my skin in that way, bandaged over, it's like has dominion over me, you know what I mean?
I think that, in a sense, is the obelisk.
Sort of, yeah, but it's in the past instead of the future.
It doesn't matter, it's all relative to one. The past, future, and present doesn't even matter. It's all just the right now that's letting us experience the right now.
Yeah, it's a tall figure in the past casting its shadow over me. And that's what I'm explaining here. So hard like some ancient shard of pottery in my skin. That's like the hardness of it is its inability to break. And closed over greenly like the roof of the fat hutch within. It's like there are primitive tribesmen living inside me.
Can I just interject? I think the primitive tribesman in a way is correct, but also I think that is, in a sense, the human, as if the human was allowed to live as an animal, I guess, like people that come more from a more spiritual tribe, is they rely on the land for their spirituality, and everything else we rely on the things we see and the aesthetics and our vanity and that kind of thing. And I think vanity is sort of what's created this interesting sense in people who feel like they're still connected to everything else around them.
Yeah, it's like there's a part of me that is wild, that wants to be free, but can't. And that's basically what the whole album's about. Stinking of maggots and dead men resurrected, reeking of women half devoured and ejected. That's obviously about my dark imaginings and edgy 16-year-old thoughts about killing people, you know. pulsating eerily below the surface, like the Panthelastic tide. Now, the Panthelastic was an ocean back in the Mesozoic era, back when there were only two continents. So the Panthelastic tide is an ancient tide. It demands to be unhidden, but it demands to hide. So it's like it's a part of me that desperately wants to be free, but it's also a part of me that I can never let free, you know?
When you say things like this, it's like the thoughts are already assembling themselves inside my head, and I have this sentence that's the same thing that you're thinking that's ready to say.
Thank you. That is the best compliment you can give anybody's poetry.
I think this is more so because I know, very well the construct I have of you in my head, so I understand what waves move you the way they do in a sense, and so when you start moving your own waves and know the path they're headed, and I guess in a sense this is, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Inept is my attempt to give everyone that feeling that you're getting.
Well, I think because I've also had this feeling of looking inside your music, I understand this to this degree. Also, getting fucking stoned.
Alright. Anything more to say about Leviathan? Or should we move on?
I have a picture of Leviathan that I think I should show Leonard at the end.
You have a picture of it that you should show me?
I've already drawn it. Like, from a while ago, it's just... I used to draw Leviathans and dragons a lot as a kid.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I have this one in my art book that I just want to show you.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm excited. Maybe we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Alright.
Like and sub.
Yes. Alright. So the next song is Ablaze. So what kind of impression did you get from Ablaze?
Pure, rage, like, you're so sick of not being heard. Like, you're so sick of nothing mattering. Like, you're so sick of everything amounting to this nothing that you're being fed. Like, everything you have, all this energy that you have that you describe as you is going to amount to nothing unless you apply it to something.
Yeah, well, that's yeah. That's a pretty strong feeling. I'll read the lyrics, and that's, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's a pretty short poem. I don't know how long I've been throwing kindling on whatever burns in my head. My body roast, seasoned with rosemary, my funeral pyre. I just know that it keeps me warm as I walk. Long as the wind tried to blow out my candle, but only reddens my embers. And self-prophesized in a fleeting vision in the coals of hellfire is the snuffed cinder of submission, and a phoenix is my dread. So, I don't know how long I've been throwing kindling on whatever burns in my head. So it's like...
This is ammunition, this is fuel, this is the resource that drives and makes the fire burn as brightly as it possibly ever could.
Yeah, it's
I
like...
have a lot of this, and I understand this thought immediately.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how long I've been feeding these bad energies that are growing within me. Like, I can't tell whether I am...
in a balance, or if the balance is in me.
What I was going to say is, I can't tell whether I'm playing into negative and toxic emotions, or if I'm just letting my true self be free.
Yeah.
That's why, so, my body roast seasoned with rosemary is meant to be the good thing, and then my funeral pyre is the bad thing.
I think, in a sense, this is, I'd call, a balance that lets a human be a human. Being able to have these two tools of something so horrible yet something so beautiful in order to captivate and move anything, I think in a sense is art as a whole, like a pattern of something that breaks what you think should be there and yet is there and yet is something else entirely.
Yeah, that's when art moves you, that's like it comes to a result that you never would have expected, but it's so obvious once you get it. You know what I mean?
I think when there's a difference between having feelings and feeling feelings, and when you feel a feeling, I think it's more like a combination of many feelings, which is inner thought, a code which sort of applies to what you believe is yourself, and when something breaks this code or something like that, you remember it in a way. And I think nothing remembers everything, which makes anything.
Nothing remembers anything?
Nothing remembers everything, which makes anything.
How do you mean that? What do you mean by that?
Like, imagine nothing is a blank canvas. Nothing remembers everything that's ever put there, which makes anything that could
But
ever be
nothing
put
has ever been put there because it's nothing.
there. That's what we are.
We're nothing.
We're a canvas.
Okay.
And everything that we put out is the painting, the strokes, the broad strokes, painting anything we wish.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I don't know, something else.
Yeah. So. I just know that it keeps me warm as I walk. That line is.
The satisfaction that you get from everything you've done for yourself.
That's like, yeah. No matter how bad for you a feeling can be, it'll still motivate you and make you.
There's still a drive behind any kind of emotion, and you
Yeah.
can fundamentally turn that emotion to any kind of drive.
Yeah.
You can leave any kind of mark on that road with that car that you're driving. You can take the track anywhere and make any kind of pattern in any kind of form, and still have it hold a form in any kind of degree.
This line's a bit cringy. It's a bit like dramatic. Long has the wind tried to blow out my candle, but only reddens my embers.
I think this is also a principle of alchemy in here, where this is how you can have, I guess, in a sense, something from nothing as well, because you have your fire, which is being blown by the wind, and yet you have your embers, which is kind of the wood that's ever been putting there, which is, I guess, in a way, reality, and I guess which is, in a way, a lot of things. And I guess this is metaphorical for a lot of different things as well. And specifically in this case, the rage, and specifically in this case, the wood and the fire. The fire is application that Leonard needs to burn the information given to him and give it to, like, I don't know, the education system, thus ruining his original principles, thus ruining his form of alchemy.
Yeah, so I think when I wrote this, the wind that's trying to blow out my candle is the system of society trying to conform me to its wills.
I think in a sense, the wind of society can drive you to burn more wood.
Yeah.
Drive you to be a brighter light.
It only reddens my embers. And self-prophesized in a fleeting vision in the coals of hellfire is the snuffed cinder of submission. So that's so it's self-prophesized, which means it makes itself happen, like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Like you're dropping a bowl, and imagine that you didn't actually drop that bowl, and that bowl's just falling like it is.
I'm talking like the fact that you imagine yourself dropping the bowl makes you drop the bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that I imagine myself as a blank slate or as whatever society wants me to be is what makes me fight more virulently against it. So the snuffed cinder of submission is obviously the opposite of a red ember. So the snuffed
cinder of submission in this case can also be, it could be defeat. It could be self-defeat from itself.
Yeah.
It could be a defeat from a pressure of something else, and, you know, it's okay. Not everything can work out the way that you want it to.
Yeah, so
And
it's, yeah.
like a break, like, you're not ready to give out, you're just ready to let it happen for now. And then the phoenix is the dread. The dread is what reawakens from the ashes.
Yeah, it's the rebirth of my feeling of rage towards, or whatever has snuffed my cinders.
I guess in a sense it's oxygen in this sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this sounds kind of obvious, but it's like myself is the oxygen that I need to breathe, which is like really self-absorbed.
There's nothing wrong with being entirely self-absorbed for moments, because moments like this create something else entirely different, which I think is kind of a cool feature if you think about it in the right angle or dimension.
Yeah, well, obviously I thought it was cool. I wrote a poem about it.
Yeah, well, there's no. I don't think when you express yourself in what you'd deem as a cringy way isn't a process to deem yourself cringy as much as a process to deem yourself worth improving, as well as.
Yeah. When I say cringy, I mean
I know what you
it's
mean.
written in a very dramatic and.
I'm translating for the internet.
Yeah. So that's Ablaze, and then the next song is New Dawn Fades, which is a cover of a Joy
Wow.
Division song. And so what kind of impression did you get from this?
That everything that you want is at your horizon, in a way. The most beautiful things you can find at the horizon. As in, well, your goal. This is what you want. You see a lot in films, like, people going towards the sunset, and I think if you have your eyes on the horizon at the right time, you can witness your goal, what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And New Dawn's Fade. Now I've lost my thought.
Yeah, my inspiration for this song was that I was just learning bass guitar, and I was really into Joy Division at the time, and they had really simple bass orientated songs on their first album, Unknown Pleasures, and I thought, hey, I could do a cover of that. That's easy as, and I got some advice from Lou about covers, and he said always try to make the cover as different as possible from the original. So that's what I did with the 5 covers on this album, and this is the first of them, and there are, for each of the covers, I took the 3 or 4 different riffs that they use in the song and put them on top of each other and thought that it sounded good, and then whispered the lyrics on top, usually. So, yeah.
This created a very interesting image in my head. Everything felt like it was happening at the same time. Like, literally, everything as a metaphor was happening at the same time. And it created this, I guess, like a sense of infinite anything of everything.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of information we perceive, we throw behind us. In a sense, we'll throw it into, I guess, like a meditation realm. And through disassociation, I guess we can reach this point. Disassociation, to me, is like taking every single mask off that you could hypothetically wear and actually just analyze every single thought that could actually possibly come into your head.
Yeah, it's honest introspection.
You need a lot of that. Also, when you do this, your body produces DMT, I think. Fun fact.
Oh, yeah, okay. There are trace amounts of DMT found in the brain, I'm pretty sure. But there are also trace amounts of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. They have trace amounts of Dungeons and Dragons in eucalyptus trees as well.
That means it's in the air. So that's simple. I mean, sorry.
It's a natural thing created by lots of different things, yeah.
Yeah. When you sleep, I think it's essentially like putting yourself on like a standby mode and letting your body sort of just puts you into a drug trip.
Quit bumping the mic.
I can't. It's happening.
You just bulldozed it from across the room. Yeah, dreams do feel like trips a lot of the time.
You know, there's a lot of truth in jest and truth in everything and truth in literally anything, and you know, you could pull truth out of literally anything you want and, you know, subconsciously program it into thought patterns and waves.
Yes.
Subconscious is very interesting.
Can be used for good and ill, that skill. So you wrote some notes down here about your impression. What is an infinite sea of infants?
Possibilities. Infinite possibilities of anything.
Ah, okay. Alright.
Think of like, they're not infinites, they're minds, but I thought it was the rhyme with the thing, so I wrote that because that's the way my mind assembled it. And my mind assembles things in metaphors, so everything for me is like 6 metaphors stacked and then rejumbled.
Yeah, I get you.
And also, I guess that's why I can make sense of your music. You've been subconsciously training me, good job.
Subconsciously training you.
Maybe you've been...
I assure you, nothing I do I never think about you at all.
Don't lie to me. You don't have to. It just happens, that's why. You're the point of reference. The point of reference. My point of reference.
Okay. The next song after Neutron Fades is Colossus. And what kind of impression did you get from that? Yeah. That's basically what it was about. When I wrote this poem, I was like super proud of it, and I showed everyone in my English class and everything. Well, not everyone, but I was like, I thought I was like the next George Bernard Shaw or something, or like Henry David Thoreau, and I was like, I thought I was gonna be a celebrity for sure.
Can I have some incense?
Oh, I don't have any incense.
Well, Leonard, you should come over to my house. Not now.
I can get incense around the corner though.
Yeah, but I have a cool new thing. It's a backfall incense.
Oh.
It's a waterfall.
What?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
That's why you should come see it.
The suspense is killing me. So yeah, Colossus. This is how it goes. For something that was meant to numb me, it really fucking hurt. Plunged between ribs I thought impermeable, penetrating my flesh and walls with a promise. A dam stopping all flow south of the heart. Grass stained yellow by the cold and dry. A riverbed heavy and dry heaving. Dissonant digits desperate to fidget again. Though they took it for granted. How they yearned for the misery of consciousness now. Sliced open like some unappetizing pie. Steam spilling forth with the smell. Liver and kidneys and stomach and intestines and spleen and bladder and gallbladder and pancreas and appendix and diaphragm. Salvaged from the wreckage, as if these huddled masses yearned to breathe free, yet the wretched refuse of my teeming shore was heaped far from any golden door. Sewn back together like the patches of jacket elbows, and I am almost convinced it was some fever dream. How I yearn for the terror of a cold sweat now, as the pain returns to fulfill its vow.
Sounds like a bad trip.
Yeah, it's actually based on a dream I had. So, in this dream, I may as well go through it. For something that was meant to numb me, it really fucking hurt. Plunged between ribs I thought impermeable, penetrating my flesh and walls with a promise. So, the dream started with me strapped down to a table where I was injected with something, I was injected in the heart with some kind of thing that was meant to stop all feeling throughout my body. And the feeling of violation is why I wrote between ribs I thought impermeable, penetrating my flesh and walls with a promise. And then a dam stopping all flow of the heart, south of the heart. Grass stained yellow by the cold and dry, a riverbed heavy and dry heaving. So that is my whole body turning yellow with the lack of blood and the numbness. So when it's cold, I'm sure other people get this, my fingers and toes turn yellow and turn numb, and I can't feel them at all. And my whole body was like that in the dream. Dissonant digits desperate to fidget again, though they took it for granted. How they yearn for the misery of consciousness now. That sets up the end of the poem. And then I was surgically opened up, and all of my organs were taken out, and then they sewed me back together again. Salvaged from the wreckage, as if these huddled masses yearned to breathe free, yet the wretched refuse of my teeming shore was heaped far from any golden door. So those lines are adapted from a poem that is at the base of the Statue of Liberty. And I think it might also be called Colossus. Hang on.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think in a sense it's like...
Yeah, the poem is called The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus.
I think in a sense this is a concept of Leonard that has had it himself, that he feels has probably been crushed by, I don't know, a power. maybe from himself or someone else, or
Yeah, it's literally somebody taking all my guts out and then sewing me back together.
yeah. Do you like your new guts? Be honest with me.
I've sort of made peace with the fact that my guts aren't my own. But I mean, this is just a dream. Like, this is a feeling that I felt 3 years ago. That
Do you think your guts are yours now?
shit, I don't know. It's scary to think about how we would be if we had taken less. If we had been molded less by society, you know what I mean?
This is a construct that I like to think about a lot, actually, and I think there's a lot of people who like. Imagine if there was a far advanced life form staring back at us. What would it really see? It would see us, like, I'm sorry, I'm talking about like a spacefaring civilization of, I don't know, something else, and it had intellect far beyond, well, what we could even consider, because it could do things like this, and it had abilities and all kinds of different stuff that we just couldn't actually properly comprehend. And it would stare back at us and think that every single one of us is stupid, maybe apart from, I don't know, the ones that the stupid reject.
Have you seen the movie Arrival? That's pretty much what that movie's about.
I know, but it's also about language and time and a whole bunch of other things as well, concepts and constructs thrown in there from a different kind of thing. But also, it does have a very valid point on another kind of being or dimension or blah 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 staring black at us, you know?
Looking at what you could have been. And it's a scary thought. It's like
It's sort of scary until you can really comprehend that it means that literally everything's okay and you should just be the best be that you could actually possibly be.
yeah.
You sort of find a sense of empowerment in it, if you will, which is actually quite interesting in a broad sense, because it means that the construct you thought yourself could actually be anything you could conceive or perceive as yourself as being, sort of like an integrated personality.
Yeah.
One.
And that's why this poem is so horrible. It's based on that fear.
I think it was actually a good dream to remember if you remember any kind of dream, honestly. Because it's a very good metaphor, I think, and I think that dream actually had a lot of potential as a learning experience. Because
yeah, definitely was.
You can look at any kind of reality or any kind of construct as some kind of learning experience, because anything you think actually holds information in a sense.
Yeah, well, a thought is a quantum of information.
Quantumation.
Now, by quantum I mean a unit.
And by a unit, I mean something that you have no idea what the fuck it is actually going on, because it's unknown.
I suppose it's unknown, but it's also...
It's unstudied and observed in a box. It's far outside the box. Far outside the box.
I mean, it is Are we still talking about thought here?
Oatmeal.
I guess so. Okay. The next song is How Soon Is Now?
Now, it's... I think... Wait, or is it now? Hold on, wait. wait. I think it's now!
This is a cover of a song by The Smiths, which I'm sure everybody already knows that song. What impression did you get from it?
That there is a time and place for nothing. And that's space, which is canvas.
The space is what holds everything.
Including time.
You reckon?
Yeah. I reckon, time comes in like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't actually measure it, but it definitely comes. from a place that we're in. Maybe it comes from our mind. It's an interesting thought, actually. You know how time flies when you're just, like, having fun.
Yeah, well, there's... So, do you think there's a difference between time and our perception of time?
I think there's, like... You imagine, like, a triangle of mathematical principles. I believe that's how relative time is. Time, space, energy. They're all correlated and interconnected into perceiving one thing.
Okay. But you said time was created by space. Or...
Oh no, it's just that it's just the canvas type thing.
Okay, yeah. Well, the original song "How Soon Is Now" is it's about like everyone is always expecting to find someone, but you only ever find someone when you're not actually looking, you know what I mean? It's like, how soon is now? How far away is here?
Are we there yet?
Yeah, like,
You only find the keys when you're not looking for them?
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but...
The hypothetical keys being for anything? Anything.
Yeah. Back when I thought I was going to be a celebrity, I think there was a Facebook page called I Rate Your Noise Music or something like that, and I messaged that page and sent them this song because I thought it was my best song, and they posted this horrible review of it on their page where it was like, not even harsh noise, this is so fucking soft, this is made by like a 5-year-old on GarageBand, and it crushed me.
See, this is disgusting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a pretty shit song.
No. What they said.
No, I mean, it was pretty true.
Yeah, no. I mean, as a person who respects art, you cannot do that and call yourself an artist. You can't respect yourself and then go around disrespecting people who just want to... That is by far one of the most disgusting things. In fact, even setting up, like, rating of art like that and giving them just bad principles to run on, it ruins the idea that they had for themselves.
So you don't support art criticism?
I support positive criticism. Hey, look, I really love this direction you're going in. You could do better if you put your effort and energy into this direction, because this sounds good. This is a nice principle you have going for yourself. This is a process to be improved, and I think you could really improve your direction if you just took it that way.
Okay. Alright, so, well, anyway, it got me like 30 views on the video, though, just from posting on that page, so...
But also, another thing, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, it's not like I get any publicity anyway.
Don't shut. I'll kill you.
Okay, the next song after that is Vita Incerta, which...
I read that as Vinta Inserta.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone did. I'm using the pretentious classical Latin pronunciation. So, yeah, this is one of the first songs that I made by just playing around on Premiere instead of like recording from a tab, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And the title comes from, I found it in a book called The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
That's quite a book.
Yeah. By Philip K. Dick, I think.
Thanks, Dad.
Anyway, but yeah, Vita incerta, morta certa. It means life is uncertain, but death is certain. So that's what kind of impression did you get from Vita incerta?
I actually started seeing black shadows out of the corner of my eye. But do you really want me to talk about that on the mic?
I mean, if they're your honest feelings, then I mean, it sounds like pretty good radio. Just if you're comfortable with it.
Where it was just like, I literally felt like the presence of death was behind me, and it was just behind me, and it was just behind me, and it was there anytime I wanted it, like an old friend. Like, it's actually been there watching after me, like, yeah, good job, buddy. You know what I mean? And, like, it's, I don't know, beckoning, and yet also encouraging me. Like, I dare you, I double dare you. Like, I know it's there, like, I know it's coming, but, like, I'm gonna be ready for it, and I'm gonna leave this world with anything and everything. And this is the feelings that came over me during this. And then out of the corner of my eye, it was like, it was probably an utterly a figment of an imagination. And I'm probably actually insane and whatever. Who cares? But black spots creeping out of the corner of my eye. And like, it was daring me to look behind me.
It's like you're knocking the mic on purpose.
My leg's just doing a nervous twitch.
Yeah, every time you even nudge it slightly, it's gonna make a noise on the recording.
That's actually death itself. Don't worry about it.
All right. If you hear any remnants of that still in there, it's fault.
It's fault.
I'll try to edit it as best I
There's
can.
nothing's fault, and everything's fault, and anything's fault.
You wrote a lot of stuff here in your notes about this.
Don't read that.
Okay. Okay.
Don't read that out loud.
So, the next song after Vita Incerta is Bulls on Parade, which is a Rage Against the Machine cover, which is definitely the worst song on the album.
It felt like a string of empowerment. Like, this string was just going like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, forever, with no change at all. It's like
Insanity.
the same riff for 2 whole minutes and nothing else except me like, go in it now.
What am I going with now, Leonard?
The
answer under my skin lamp.
Anyway, the next song after Bulls on Parade was A Roma Invicta Barbariad Portas, which means Rome Victorious / Barbarians at the Gates. And did you get an impression out of that song?
Yeah. I think Death just wants to burn the gates down.
Death wants to burn the gates down?
Yep.
So you were still on that trip from the last couple of songs, hey?
Yep.
Yeah, this poem, I remember right after I wrote this, I thought it was cringe, so...
Oh, I'll probably love it.
Okay.
I like making good sense, like actual justifiable and acceptable valid sense out of things that people would consider themselves to be cringe, because it feels like they had a good idea and they just didn't like where the idea went, so they call it cringe in lack of a better thought.
I just think my voice was unsophisticated a few years ago. Like I was writing like an edgy 13-year-old. Anyway, so the poem goes, Please wind, I insist, blow through me, hit my bones and shake them like the twigs of a winter fig, like you always threatened. Please rain, pour down, and let me dissolve, like junk mayo in the gutter, like a million tissues heaped vainly on a vomit stain on the carpet, like you always said you would. Please, barbarians, tear down my walls and desecrate my temples, and split my ancient empire into Gothic fiefs, like I always stopped you from doing. For I am too afraid to rip myself apart, too conceited to be seen in pieces, and too weak to remain a whole.
Well, that's like, feels like you're begging death there.
Yeah. I wrote most of that on the way to school. Like,
Oh yeah, thinking
on a
about the rage.
like
The rage is viewing, it was bubbling, it was ready to go in a school shooting.
Yeah.
And what it was actually feeling was everyone else's rage as well, who wanted to go on a something rather.
At like 7:30 in the morning on a cold, rainy day, walking to the bus stop.
Sounds like me.
And yeah, I should have just called it Barbariad Portas because there's no real Roma Invicta there.
So the way that I think this is like urging death in a way, but I just want to say that when it comes to this entire topic of the time to die, I don't want to know when I'll die. I don't think anybody should. And if it comes to me well, that's gonna be fucking shit. And I want it to be a surprise. But I have a feeling it's already not.
I'd like to know so that I can finish my book first. So then, once I die, I can be like a posthumous martyr. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
people, so it could be like, oh, he died so young. You know what I mean?
I died very young, actually. And I'm just waiting for the recognition.
Yeah. This isn't that cringy. Like it's like it's very self-destructive, but it doesn't like go too much. It doesn't indulge too much in it.
I think that's sort of a secret. It's sort of like a muscle.
A muscle?
Yeah, like you slowly just get a good grasp over it, like a muscle.
I like the last paragraph of it. For I'm too afraid to rip myself apart, too conceited to be seen in pieces, and too weak to remain a whole.
See, that entire paragraph to me is like quantum. It's X. It's describing something that is yet to be anything.
Yeah, constantly.
Like you're too afraid to define yourself as something because you're scared of being nothing.
Yeah. It's like I can't decide to be something because then I wouldn't.
A lack of a better thing to describe yourself as.
No, it's like I just want to be without the something on the end of the sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I'm too afraid to rip myself apart, which is like I'm too afraid of losing myself to change my identity. I'm too conceited to be seen in pieces. That's like, I think I'm better than everyone else, so I can't let them see me not being me. And then too weak to remain a whole is like, I don't have the energy anymore to pretend that I'm being something that I'm not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Derp, derp, derpity derp, flurpin, derp, derp, derpity flurpin, derpin, derp, derp, flurpity derp, derpin, derp, derp, flurpin, derpin, chirpin, derpin, shupin, derp, 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 shippity, derpity, derpity, flurpity, shippity, 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 derp, 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 derpity, derpin, 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 derp, derp, ship. What is up, Mr. Tube?
You know this isn't the start, right?
This is the start now.
Oh, you want me to put this back at the start? You want me to edit everything a few seconds forward?
No. I want you to make a collection of things that could be the start and make them a start at some point or another when something.
But don't you think after we've done this episode, we can create a way better start?
Yeah, we can. That's my point.
No, but if we're creating a start now to the podcast, like an introduction to it, then by the time we're doing the second one, which is probably going to be like what, months away, at this rate, we'll have a completely different idea of what a good start will be. We'll listen back at this and be like, "This is shit."
I'm just building a toolbox of applications and processes. And
you are a toolbox. All right, what song are we up to?
Enjoy it.
Okay, Werewolf Shaven. What impression did you get from this?
Oh, that was a good one.
Okay, I'll tell you the lyrics.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
And I'll explain
that's
everything.
what I wanted. Yeah, cool.
All right. Werewolf Shaven. This is how it goes. This is a pretty edgy poem that I wrote back in year 12. I remember standing at the bus stop watching the year 8s crowding around and being really loud. How long ago
was year 12?
3 or 4 years ago.
Alrighty.
And I have vivid memories of wanting to kill people
I think this is a normal occurrence, to be honest. I think everyone has these things and it's like seen as edgy, but like sometimes someone just pisses you off and your imagination takes you places and it's like, yeah, man, it happens.
Yeah, more than I'd like to admit most of the time. Anyway, this is how it goes. Rape and violence visit my mind more than the morbid fascinations of a desk job. To be the serpent of Satan who seduced Eve, the rib ripped from Adam, the god who banished them, the hell they feared. I am Tamerlane of the Steppe, prophesied successor to Temujin, grandson of the Khanate. I am Vlad the Impaler, Ivan the Terrible, Dracula with fangs filed. I am Alexander of Macedon, Oedipus of Thebes, spearhead of the phalanx and hooves of Bucephalus. My father is Adam, my mother is Eve, but I am not Abel, I am Cain.
So this is really interesting. I think it's an interesting part of the human psyche and development that you were going through at the time, see, because this speaks volumes. See, I'm the kind of person that likes to face my problems and demons head on, and this song sort of feels like, yep, this is the edge. This is the edge. I'm looking at the edge. This is the edge of me. This is the edge that I have to offer for me and everything else. And yeah, I guess you're probably pushed there through means of stress from external sources like school and whatnot, because year 12 was a pretty stressful time for a lot of people. Yeah.
So this poem is full of historical and literature references. So the first paragraph is all about it's all biblical, obviously, Garden of Eden parallels, and then the second paragraph, I am Tamerlane of the Steppe, prophesied successor to Temujin, grandson of the Khanate. So Tamerlane was a 15th century Central Asian conqueror who, even though he wasn't related... Can you stop bumping the mic? Even though it's likely that he wasn't related to Genghis Khan, he told everyone that he was his grandson, and so riding on that wave of great PR, he conquered a large region. Temujin is what Genghis Khan's birth name was.
Oh,
and
can I just say that your opening line, it contrasts rape and violence with a desk job. Now, for me, this sets the mood for the entire song.
Yeah.
And it sort of implies this extreme normality that gets applied to many people given in normal situations.
It sort of implies that the desk job is more morbid than rape and violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The connection I feel that I have to Genghis Khan is that, look, I'm not ashamed of it. I think I have some kind of Turkic genes in me. I have that yellow complexion. I have that stiff black Asian hair, and I have that rage.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
Why we're friends.
I don't know how that's going to come out, but I'll see if I can fix that in post. And then the next stanza, as I should call them, not paragraphs. I'm Vlad the Impaler, Ivan the Terrible, Dracula with fangs filed. So that pretty much is just keeps on going with the same old themes. And Werewolf Shaven, the title of the poem, is similar to Dracula with fangs filed. Like I'm a monster from some kind of fairy tale that has been tamed and placed in a very foreign environment to it.
Right, what's the next one?
Hang on, I'm still going. So, I'm Alexander of Macedon, that's Alexander the Great, Oedipus of Thebes. So, he is the main character of a play called Oedipus Rex by Euripides? Maybe Sophocles? Anyway, it's an ancient Greek play where this dude is king of Thebes, and he gets a prophecy that he is going to kill his father and marry his mother, and then by attempting to escape the prophecy, he ends up fulfilling it with his own decisions. And spearhead of the phalanx, so that's more allusions to Alexander the Great. and hooves of Bucephalus. So that was Alexander's horse, Bucephalus. And then the ending is like, I'm trying to get it as like punchy and impactful as possible. I am not Abel, I am Cain. Like Cain obviously killed Abel in the Bible. And he was the quote-unquote bad son of Adam and Eve.
No, it was just bad masters. No such thing as a bad son.
Okay, so the next song we're up to on our little list here is Educated. And this song I came up with in a parent-teacher interview back in year 12. And because I was a delinquent student who didn't do any of my work, and the explanation that I came up with, because I thought I was smarter than everyone else, was I said to my teacher, I don't want to be educated. And then, so I made this 2-minute song of pure static with me saying, I don't want to be educated in the background.
So in this song, the vibe that I get is like you're sitting in a room, and in the background there's just machinery just doing its thing, just churning away, and you're just there like... And that's all I really get from it, really.
Yeah, yeah. Like, stuck in some dystopian office job, like, where you're just checking over machines all day.
Like, you're actually one of the people inside the cars from the Pixar movie Cars, where, well,
There are people in those movies!
You don't want the doors and stuff to open, because that's where the brains and guts are.
I almost just spat out my coffee. There are no people in those movies.
Not that the movie lets you see.
Wait, so what's your theory on this?
Oh no, it's not a theory. It's,
What's your... it's not... Oh, it's proven.
Well, one of the editors were like, yeah, we don't put doors on the cars because that's where the guts and brains of the people are.
What people? Wait. Wouldn't they mean the guts and the brains of the car?
No.
Like the cars...
No.
There's
definitely implications that I don't feel like going into, really.
I think that's a bit morbid for this light family podcast.
Hey man, you don't want to be educated. You know what I'm saying?
So the next song was Just Once, and this is one of the first songs that I made by actually playing around on Premiere and distorting shit instead of just like recording things and putting them in on top of each other. So I played a bunch of bass lines really quickly, and then, well, quickly relative to how quickly I can actually play, which isn't very quickly at all, and then just slowed them down and layered them on top of each other.
This song kind of contrasts a bit with the high tones and low tones. It almost sounds like a church type song, like just like quiet organ music that you'd be able to, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Peace out to.
Well, yeah, it's the
kind of thing that like you sort of expect to hear as you're walking in church and sitting down to, but not quite. It's quite beautiful. It's got all kinds of different frequencies and things in there that sort of actually manage to sound great, and it sort of sounds like a prayer wrapped inside a song, and there's only 2 words in the entire song that mean anything, but it's like if you could just have one thing at any given moment, just one thing that you've been wanting for your entire life, and it feels like you almost deserve it in a way.
Yeah. I wanted this song to... I had just learnt the scales, and I wanted to like implement them, so I made this song in a major, which contrasts with the whole rest of the album. So it's pretty much the only...
It's been a good closing song.
Yeah, just wait until you hear Sunday Morning.
Okay.
The next song is Sins of the Fathers. It only has one lyric. And that lyric is... You can't really hear it very well at all,
Yeah.
but... Shall the clay say to he who fashioneth it, what makest thou? And that's from the Bible. And I made this song after a very traumatic acid trip that I had where I felt that I hated my father. Even though...
So, during this trip, did this make you feel angry or disappointed or
yes,
confused?
the dominant emotion of this trip was definitely frustration.
Ah.
I felt like a weak, pathetic, like 3-year-old child who was raging at anything he could get his hands on, and my father was just there, you know. And I ended up chewing a big hole in my lip,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a pretty bad day. And that quote from the Bible is I think it's more about asking about the nature of God, I think. So did you get any kind of impression from this song? So-
Maybe I could just get you to the top of the hill so I can kick you down and you'll just pick up your own traction.
I mean, hopefully. Any kind of traction will do.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. And it's even better when I'm the one pushing you in the light instead of you stepping into the light willingly.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell people in real life about my noise project. Like, I've told lots of people at work and stuff, and like randoms, and they, even if they do check it out, which is like 10% of people, only like 2% of people will actually like it. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty much pointless.
But that's how it builds. It's an acquired taste. That's what music is.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste.
You don't think the first person to make music in any kind of genre was all about it at first? Like,
I mean, let's speculate. Who was the first person to make music of any kind of genre? Alright, what did you think of Sins of the Fathers?
it was gay. I told you, I'm disappointed.
Well, you didn't tell me on air. That was
Whoops.
which we're on right now.
Whoops. I mean,
It's okay. I can edit all this out.
no, don't worry about it. It's great. It's great.
It's
great, yeah.
not great.
It's natural. Don't worry about it.
I said, "What did you think of this song?" And you said, "It's gay." Like,
No, I didn't. I actually corrected myself. I said I already told you. I said it was disappointing. So,
well, yeah.
you're
Well,
gay.
the song, just like an acid trip, is meant to hit you like a truck.
Well,
Like-
it succeeded.
Yeah. Well,
No, it was just like you try, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It was all over the place.
It's like my head, man. And this is just I don't know. This is just the translation of imagery in my head. You know.
Yeah. So for me, when I hear music, it gives me a visual.
I
Thing
have
in my
like
head.
different filters for visualizers.
But for
in my
me,
head.
it's more like a color thing.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like, for example, the song that we're reviewing right now.
For you, it's a color thing. What kind of color are you thinking of right now, Leonard?
For the happiest day of Cleopatra's life.
Think of a color, Leonard. What color are you thinking of?
Well, for that song, it's like, it starts off as like a dark sort of grayish brown that like is like throbbing, and it's going from grey to brown, right? And then when the song like starts up and gets more intense and like starts hitting you, there are like flashes of like grey, like staticky particles going all over the place, and
Yeah.
like black bits and white bits and more like brown bits, and it's like
Yeah.
yeah. So for me, when I
generally build
make
rooms
album
for my,
covers,
like library. That's the way I do it, you know. And these rooms are just like different ideas and thoughts that I can go back to and explore the same room, and maybe even see different things in the same room. And this is the thing.
yeah, well, yeah. When I'm reading stuff and I imagine where it's taking place,
Imagine it like a TARDIS. My head's pretty much a TARDIS, man. And it's like infinite and built off, well, a thought. And that's what the TARDIS is in a sense, is, yeah.
Yeah, when I'm making album covers, I try to emulate the colors that I'm seeing in my head
Yeah.
from the album. So this is the sort of this grayish, like swept, staticky like image. Like it's not clear at all. This album, it's very muddled.
Well, your album art says that, Leonard.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so this song, "The Happiest Day of Cleopatra's Life," is based on a historical incident. It was the wedding of Philip II of Macedon and Cleopatra, I think his fourth or fifth wife or something, but he had a lot.
Hey, you should. Sorry. Just an idea.
Go on.
Don't like edit cuss words, but when we say each other's names, go over it and just add a random noise over it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Blimblorm. Hello, Blimblorm.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just get like a snippet from the music or something. Yeah. So I'll read you the passage from Plutarch that I based this song on. At the wedding of Cleopatra, whom Philip fell in love with and married, she being much too young for him, her uncle Attalus, in his drink, desired the Macedonians would implore the gods to give them a lawful successor to the kingdom by his niece. This so irritated Alexander that, throwing one of the cups at his head, "You villain," said he, "what am I then, a bastard?" And that's the only lyric of the song. I say that over and over, like, "What am I then, a bastard?" Then Philip, taking Attalus's part, rose up and would have run his son through. But by good fortune for them both, either his over-hasty rage or the wine he had drunk made his foot slip, so that he fell down on the floor. At which Alexander reproachfully insulted over him. "See there," said he, "the man who makes preparations to pass out of Europe into Asia, overturned in passing from one seat to another." So basically, everyone got drunk and started fighting and ruined Cleopatra's wedding. And so this song is called "The Happiest Day of Cleopatra's Life."
We've already had this.
When it's we did, but it was off air.
I've forgotten. Sorry. I treat this differently. Yeah.
You treat this differently.
It's more like a conversation that I'm trying to...
Yeah. We talked about this off air.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten. I mean, like, I'd forgotten that it was off air.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what kind of impression did you get from this song? It doesn't have to be anything to do with what I just said.
Oh, cool. Well, this made me think of The Happiest Day as an idea. As, like, a record. As, like... something else that you can remember that will be entirely different, like something else that could be completely unique and completely yours. That's the kind of thought that I was really getting from this song, and I don't know, sometimes it's like the metaphor behind the mathematical rhythmic picture that I build in my head. I don't know, I guess it has many answers.
This song made you think of a like hypothetical perfect day that you could have, or
Yeah.
like the platonic idea of a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of your day. Just your day.
Yeah, for me this song sounds very negative. I'd get negative vibes from it.
Honestly, the way that you blend everything else, it doesn't sit right at first, and so I'd give, like, most your music a negative perception as it meets itself with something else to build something else off of, and it's sort of like this balance that you have sustained at all times that corresponds to a thought, and, like, it's obvious what you are doing, and this is an interesting thought, as a correlation as to how art and music is produced and made.
It's like you can't tell what kind of emotion that I'm trying to get across, or...
No, you can.
Oh, you can.
Or can't. I can't tell. It's like weird.
Yeah, this album is very muddled.
Yeah, like you're building, like you go like this, right? And songs, they'll go up like a curve, and then they'll like go back around. You can see what they're doing, but yours goes and it sort of comes up like this, and it meets itself, and it sort of like it builds a different kind of...
Okay, yeah. So
it doesn't follow the usual pattern of tension and release.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay, it's like, yeah, I know what you mean by it, because it's sort of,
Visual demonstration easier than word.
yes, but the people can't hear the visual
Yeah,
demonstration.
but you can see the demonstration. You can word better.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Interpret.
explain what you mean. So, you're trying to say that it starts to set something up, and then it completely destroys that and goes for something else, or
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
But it's sort of like self-sustaining because it is what it is, and that's it. Is
It's a whole bunch of things that sound similar enough that you could think that they're the same sound, but then if you actually try to focus on one of the sounds, they all just completely like you can hear one of them at a time, and you can hear all of them at a time, but you can't try and hear two of them at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see. For me, it's like I'll be listening to one thing for something, and it's like, wait, what else is there? And I can hear a whole bunch of other things, and then that thing that I was trying to listen to, it's gone, and I'm like lost in somewhere else. It's like,
Yeah, it's a frustrating feeling, and I'm trying to get at the abstract idea of everything being ruined with this song, because the happiest day of her life was completely ruined. You know what I mean?
I think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of funny. Like if you saw that in real life, it would be pretty funny. But they were pretty ready to kill each other.
I'm ready to kill many people then.
Please don't kill anyone.
Nah, I need good motive and reason, and risk reward factor needs to be mostly reward factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it needs to be actually worth it.
Look, I want to kill someone whenever someone walks slow in front of me. Okay, but, like I'm not gonna do it. I promise. But
Nah, I meant they were ready to do it.
yeah, I know.
As in, like,
I
they
understand.
Yeah.
I'm just mean in retrospect to the way that I see it.
Yeah. So the next song is Help, which is a cover of the Beatles song Help. And you hated this song, didn't you?
Yeah, I was just getting started. I think that was that one.
You were just getting static.
Yeah, pretty much. I just couldn't.
Don't play the song. You have to pause the recording.
No, I'm not playing the music.
Oh.
I was just looking at the titles to make sure that
Yeah, this is one of my cover songs where
this is like the kind of thing I need to get like acid
yeah.
to actually understand it.
I took the bass line and I played the bass line, and then I got the rhythm guitar and I took just one of the progressions from the song, which has like 3 or 4 different types of progressions, I reckon, and play that over the top at a slightly different speed, and then I played the lead guitar, one of the riffs of the lead guitar, over the top at an even different speed. So I've got 3 different things going on, all badly recorded, so they're all super staticky and blending into each other, and all at different speeds, so you can't get any bearing of where you are. And then I'm saying, help, help, help. Yeah, so I can see why you wouldn't like this song, because it's quite a disorientating mess. This song is like drowning. That's what this song.
I mean, maybe that's why I couldn't get a thought. I'm too busy being dead.
Yeah.
But you this song is a thought killer. We'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Maybe a thought spinner. Disorientation.
Yeah.
Static. This
Yeah.
is static, man.
Yeah. Well, this album uses a lot of static.
Yeah.
And the last song is Sunday Morning, which is a cover of the Beatles. Not the Beatles. That was the last one. It's Sunday Morning, which is a cover of a Velvet Underground song. And this is a classic last song of the album, so it has to go for like 8 minutes on that. And it's pretty much the same thing for those 8 minutes. But when I made this, I thought, fuck, this is a good song. This is great. Everyone's gonna love me.
When I heard this song, it was interesting. It was like I was standing in like some kind of like theater, but like I was standing in the crowd, but the theater was completely empty, apart from like the bats that were spinning around me and the dude that was clapping in the corner that wouldn't fucking go away.
Bats?
Yeah, bats, man. Like
There were bats flying around your head.
Yeah, man.
Okay. And there was a dude clapping.
Yeah, in the corner. He looked like
Yeah.
Slender Man, but just because I couldn't recognize him when he was in a suit.
Slender Man.
Yeah, man,
This
but-
song made you think about Slender
It wasn't
Man.
just Slender Man. I just thought it'd be a funny comparison.
Yeah, okay. Like a faceless suit man. Yeah. For this song, that clapping sound that you're talking about is the sound of me with the amp on full blast taking the lead in and out of the jack. So it made that sound like, and it's just over and over. Yeah, it just slowly seeps into your mind and like it's sort of difficult to listen to. But if you, a lot of people hate the sound of feedback and lead static and stuff like that, but I love it. I love that sound.
It has its time and place.
Yeah. I definitely overused it. Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad, but like it picked up and changed differently. It was like it was either like tapping like a door at some point, or it was like someone just like watching me like clapping. Like there was
Like,
just one,
sarcastically.
No, there was just one guy in the room that was happy that I did something. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't see this dude. It didn't matter. It was just like, dude. And the bats weren't like bothering me at all. It was just like disorientating, like blinding, you know. And it was just like everywhere, man. Like
Yeah, I was really bad at editing back then,
Mm.
so it was really hard for me to get everything to feel like it was in the same time.
Mm.
And even if the timing is just slightly off, it makes the song feel like off kilter and a bit like disorientating.
like you're looking at it like that,
Yeah,
and you're like that.
it's like you got a painting hanging on your wall. That's
But
just a little
in
bit.
real life, what's actually happening behind you that you're not seeing is the entire thing going.
Yeah, the audience can't see that either.
Yeah.
But this song is pretty structured. I was pretty proud of it when I made it. And that's the end of the album. And so
There we go, Leonard. I committed to a video. Are you happy? I'm happy. I did it.
we did it. I'm happy.
Goes the team.
Once I edit it, I'll be happier.
Yeah.
So I asked you what music you wanted, theme intro music you wanted.
We
And-
should make our own theme intro, obviously.
Yeah.
Like,
And you told me you wanted some like boom bap bass, drum and bass sub. That would be
I
like
was listening to rap with the time and after that, and just like, yeah, boom bap, man.
Welcome to my noise music podcast.
You know what I mean?
So, do you still think that's a good idea?
No idea.
Because I can try to make that. Actually, probably.
Look, you know how many ideas I throw at a wall? My wall's so messy, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder.
So we should figure out a way to end this podcast.
All in all, it was just another thought stuck on the wall.
Oh, what would you give this album out of 10? I can't rate it because it's my own work. Like, I sort of can. I guess I will.
A solid 2.5 stars out of 10.
I don't think... I don't know how that's going to turn out, but...
No, that wasn't the real score.
2.5 out of 10. I was going to give it a 3, so...
There was a few good songs on there, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I like Leviathan. I liked Just Once. Can't remember the rest of them. I think I like this one. That song, that intro, that reminds me of like a dentist sucking the saliva out of my mouth with the machine.
That song, I'm not sure if I mentioned that when we were talking about this song, but in year 12 drama, I was playing a crazy mute, and I...
Got to
Can you
pretend to be-
stop knocking the mic?
No! It's impulsive.
And because I was trying to act like a crazy person, I was like hyperventilating, and I figured out that I could hyperventilate until I gave myself a nosebleed,
A nosebleed.
And so I gave myself a nosebleed on stage.
Were you just like a rocket of blood? You're like at your nose, like.
It was a few drops. It
Or-
wasn't
or-
like a spray
Or
like
was
that.
it like Stranger Things type shit and like crazy shit started happening whenever you do it?
I got that crazy acting grade A+ boy because I got a nosebleed in front of an audience. I wonder if they thought it was real. But I hyperventilated and got a nosebleed during the recording of this what song was it? It was Roma Invicta Barbarian Portas.
That's interesting.
I think the song that you said you liked was Vita Incerta.
Mhm.
And
Before, when you figured out how to do this, how long was it before or after you did DMT?
it would have been. I think I've done DMT twice.
Yeah. I know if I did it, I'd definitely need a while to pick myself back up.
Yeah, and both of those times were before. I think they were between year 11 and 12.
Ah, I see. And you did this in year 12, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if there's any correlation between your psychological self and who you were and mentioned to the universe, and that's why everything was, I don't know, put across like this.
Yeah, I mean, hallucinogens do have a reputation for opening people's minds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So my mind's not crazy and lost, it's just open and going crazy because it is. Haha.
Mate, your mind is leaking out the sides.
Look, it's because I've actually have a 5 head, not a 4 head. I'm not sure if you noticed how large my forehead is.
No, you have a normal sized forehead. Your
No,
hairline's just receding.
No man, I've always had a big head. I was a little Buddha baby, literally. Like,
No, yeah, I have seen those baby pictures. You did have a big head,
yeah,
and it's only getting bigger.
I know. At least my body's gotten a bit bigger.
All right, we should say goodbye.
At least my dick's gotten bigger.
I'm gonna cut that out. All right,
That's why I stopped whispering. You can
goodbye, everybody.
Have a wonderful everything.
Hopefully, we end up making a second episode of this and don't give up after the first one.
Look,
Like,
Get away
subscribe.
from the mic! Get away from the mic! You're
and
gonna
there'll be
ruin
more.
it. All right.